Previously on board.
How are you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
All right, we just kind of fascinated this whole. We just spoke to John Mitchell's lawyer.
How'd that go?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff still to come out. Apparently, like some of the charges. Simon, your dad's a lawyer. It's about as close as I can get. That's a tenuous link. But what came out of the discussion was some of the charges out of the 24 whatever they were lodged against him. They came back and he was not guilty, but they haven't qualified on all of them. They haven't revealed what the charges are.
What charges? What's he being guilty of? Do we know?
Well, it's just misconduct, apparently it's a misconduct thing, but they're not saying what exactly specifically. Which the lawyer was saying it's kind of strange that they haven't qualified exactly what it is, but they are looking at a way of reintegrating him back into the Lions because he still sees himself as the Lions coach now. And that's why we were saying #awkward if he does get that right.
Oh, you couldn't do that, could you?
Well, once again, these players that have left already, or some of them that have gone on loan, might be sitting there waiting to see what happens. Others that have gone might be the players that had the issue with him. So we don't know, But it's just a really silly, bizarre. Not silly, but it's just a very bizarre.
It's all come from the administrators, hasn't it?
We don't know.
No. I don't know. Well, players too. I think there were complaints.
Yeah, there were definitely player complaints as well. I mean, that came out a while ago that some of the players went to management and said, we don't want to work with it.
He had a bit of a history of that, hasn't he? He had New Zealand, the All Blacks in 2003. He had a run-in with Umanga, the World Cup, and then the Force. Again, I don't know.
But do you think?
Hear things, but,
do you think?
I love Metro, and I think he's a nice guy. But
yeah,
he's won the Curry Cup, so it's not a bad effort. But again, it seems to be. If you look at the history of South Africa, every time there's a foreign coach who seems to come in, do pretty well, or after a while not do well, they get rid of them. So,
well, no, you did pretty well and get rid of you, did they?
Well, they got rid of me as well. But it seems to be a concern where I think Tim Lane came out to coach the Box.
And the Lions, and Transvaal, or the Lions with that.
Exactly. So, they're the flavour of the month because they're coached Australia or New Zealand. But as I said, it's a different culture here. You've got to try and blend into obviously what they do, but also you've got to try and give them to that next level.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember back. John Mitchell, I know the All Blacks were under a bit of pressure when he was coaching them, and he did kind of get dumped, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, but I think also there was, they played in Australia in the World Cup 2003, and there was a bit of a problem I heard, where the ruling was no women on tour or something like that, and Umanga approached Mitchell, or there was some little discretion. And he said, well, if this is for the players, the management should be the same or something. So I didn't pick him. He should have played against Australia in that semi-final, which when Mortlock intercepted the ball and scored and they won the game. So if he was available for that game, the game might have been a different scenario. But again, you upset the coach. Matt Giddo's upset the coach last year, and Mitchell got room. Dean's got room before the Rugby World Cup 2011. So the guys played 94 caps.
Yeah.
So just there seems to be a few problems.
Okay, Quade Cooper right now as well. Because I'm just trying to think. Maybe if maybe some coaches feel justified that the Lions, when they were struggling through, they win the Curry Cup, then they go and struggle and battle along in Super Rugby. Maybe he sort of laid down the law and said, "Listen, guys, pull your finger out." Players might not have been pulling their weight. You don't know, but it's maybe the way that he might respond to players if things aren't going so well.
But if you do that, Darren, how many CEOs of company, they brought him in to do a job. He did a job, and when the pressure's on, coach, sometimes people respond differently to different pressures. And that could have been a problem where there was probably a lot of expectation because they won the Curry Cup last year. And I must say, early on in the Super 15 this year, they played some really good rugby. They scored some great tries. But then, they had injuries as well. There's not too many teams. If you lose top-line players up and then the next players coming aren't up to that level, you're going to struggle. And that could have been the cause of it. As I said, we don't know. So you can only look from the outside and give an opinion. But, you've got to wait to reserve to hear exactly what the findings were. And, if it's still going through a court, well, just let it run its course. But it's not great. Obviously the Lions are out of the Super 15 next year and they've got players left, right and centre. Mitchell, you heard of him, rumours with the Sharks in in the Sale Sharks. So coaches always try and get another job somewhere.
Well, one thing came out of our chat with Brian, the legal guy who John was with this afternoon, saying there is no contractual commitment to Sale from John Mitchell. So obviously that has been a discussion, but until this has been resolved, he's not going to make a commitment. I think after today's findings, chances are I think the Sale thing will probably go out the window because, as you say, it does look like this is going to be quite a process, and he does want to commit his future to South Africa. So.
Well, the other thing is also, why would you go and coach the Sale Sharks when they lost 6 out of 6?
Yeah. Go out of the frying pan into the fire.
You're going to hide into nothing, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, all the excitement, David. That's why we thought we couldn't get a hold of you, because it's the weekend ahead, end of your term. You couldn't be bothered.
No, I'm still here. I was actually downstairs. We were chatting because obviously my 50th birthday. Well, I had my 50th birthday, but we're organising. We have to organise all the tables and things like that. So
you need me to reply to your message, right?
Yeah, I'd love to reply to your message.
I will reply to you before the middle of the week, David.
What's happening with this the Box? Do they play their first test this week or?
Ireland against an Ireland team that is creaking with injuries.
They're in trouble, aren't they? They've got a New Zealand prop playing for them.
Yeah, that might improve them.
Well, I mean, it just shows a lot for the IRB's regulations, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're having a problem with one of our props, apparently. Who's got issues with his paper, Brian Majati. I mean, when did he play for the Box?
Many years ago.
Many years ago.
Like 4 years ago?
He was in the squad, now they've had to take him out. Is that right? Ago? Because he's something issue with his passport or papers.
Well, there was rumour that Ireland. Wasn't there another player, a hooker or someone playing for Ireland, supposed to be a South African as well? Or was that him?
I don't know.
No.
No, but isn't there another player at the moment? I thought was added to the Irish squad.
Oh, it's Strauss. Yeah, Richard Strauss.
Yeah,
Richard. No issue with him though.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? I reckon one day you're going to be like soccer. What's going to happen is there's going to be so much money that the Lions will probably have 14 international players like the French and one local.
Not if they're not playing Super Rugby, though, and.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you look at French rugby, you look at all the players in Japan, Australia now, we've got Kiwis playing for Australia, which they're the enemy. If you look at the players around the world, there's different countries, they've just moved. The whole thing is moved from what it used to be, tradition, but now they've got players left, right and centre.
Yeah. Do you see a situation where in a few years' time we're going to have one, like a Champions League in football, and there has been talk again this weekend about the possibility of, I think, South African teams getting a little tired and bored of the whole, Sanzar thing, and maybe being dictated to by the likes of John O'Neill and maybe moving up north and our teams now playing in their competition, because apparently it seems like Heineken Cup and some of the teams up there are really, really in favour of bringing some of our South African sides into that competition.
Well, if you actually be realistic, it's the best way to go for them, because same time zone, overnights, it's like when I was playing in Italy, Nas and the boys, they play, most of the games are on a Sunday, they'd come over here to the Curry Cup on a Saturday, get the plane out that night, be in Italy and play Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more logic, if there's such a thing. Logically, it's actually better for them to play in the Six Nations.
Yeah. Do you see that happening though? Oh, you mean actually the Springboks playing in the Six Nations as well?
Well, the Six Nations, and why not? I mean, if you're going to play in their Heineken Cup, you might as well play in the Six Nations, because, I mean, I'm getting sick of watching New Zealand, Australia, South Africa week in, week out playing each other. Nothing really changes. They know each other really well. They don't play great rugby because they're all scared of making mistakes. So put them in a competition where it's a different comp. You got the French, the different styles of rugby, and therefore, the Northern Hemisphere teams might have a better chance to win the Rugby World Cup.
Won't it be more of a point of difference if they actually do that, go and play in the Heineken Cup from a club point of view? But if you're going to start playing in the Six Nations again, it's going to create the same scenario that you got now. Rather play in the club competition up there, but remain as part of, I mean, look, I don't know how Sanzar will take that if they suddenly bugger off from Super Rugby. But carry on playing in the Southern Hemisphere competition and still have the games against your Northern Hemisphere countries anyway. At least there'll be a little bit of a difference.
I mean, the thing is, the moment we saw this year, the Super 15 went on for so long, and in between they'd have a break. Then you go and play 3 Test matches, then you come back to a Super 15 again. So, like the Brumbies, for example, were going really well, have a break, have a game, and then they're out. I'm not saying because of it, but the thing is, you can't go Super 15, break, test matches, back to Super 15, break, internationals, break, then internationals again. Have one season. Why don't they have the whole season like, if you think about it realistically, June, July, why don't they just make that the test season for everyone to play? Forget these spring tours at the end of the year. Give them rest, otherwise these players aren't going to last. They're getting injured. They're not going to last long. So why don't you just have one part of the season is test season and play that, and you do every other comp around that. You organise it, so therefore you've got the best players playing against the best. At the moment, you've still got Argentina playing in the Four Nations, whatever it is, and half their players should be in France, and their French clubs are going to get really peed off soon because they've missed half a season. So it doesn't really work.
But what would work, though, is if the guys play Heineken, so they play the Northern Hemisphere season, club season. Yeah. So basically they'd be playing from, October through to, February, March.
Yep.
All right, so they play in that competition. All your players are up there anyway, because they're playing in that competition. So, effectively you could actually fit in that end of your tour would make more sense, because a lot of your players will be up there. So, if it fits into that window, you could actually...
cut
down a lot of the travel.
Here's a better way. If you want to do it that way, it's actually not a bad solution. Is maybe whoever comes top of the South African leg of the Super 15, they go the next year over and play in the Heineken Cup. So therefore, you still got 5 teams in the competition, haven't you? So the Lions still play. So every year, one team. They go and play in that competition.
The last team goes to the Heineken Cup. They're going to take that well.
No, the first team, not the bloody last. Are you listening to me?
That's like what happens when you get relegated from the English third division. You go and play in the Scottish Premier. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, or you get a team together. The South African pick a team, like the Argentinians do in that in the Curry Cup, isn't it?
The Pampas. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's smart.
They live up to their name as well. They do get Pampas.
They're getting used to that competition where they haven't. So why don't you think about it? It's a good idea. Right, okay, let's pick a team. Could be under 20s or 20, whatever. You are the up and coming, the B team or whatever. The coach said, this is my top 30, these are the outstanding, as a team, and they go and play in the Heineken Cup.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, forget about your incoming tour then in the middle of the year. It would actually give players a chance to rest. They'll still play decent club competition in the Heineken Cup. It'll fit within the end of your tour anyway, so you could actually plan travel a lot better and also give players a lot less of this back and forth. Come back at the end of that Heineken Cup season. Let England and then play Six Nations or whatever. We play in the Championship. You can start your Curry Cup earlier. You can finish your Curry Cup earlier and give them a chance sort of at the end of, when summer starts coming, give them a month or 2 or 3 months to actually... you'd actually have a gap for players. What they do in Rugby League, which we don't really talk about a lot here, is what they do is whoever wins the Rugby League Premiership in Australia and whoever wins the English Premiership, the year after, they play off against each other. It's a cup challenge. Yeah, I've seen that before, yeah.
Yeah, so if you think about it, you've got the Heineken Cup, you've got there's about 3 different cups, and the Super 15. So why don't they have a competition, or the French champ, why don't they have a competition after those finish? They all play off again, see who is the best. I just seen the paper on the weekend where there's R1 million up for grabs for a sevens tournament. I mean, sevens is great, but R1 million, I mean, okay, well, why can't we do that in 15s?
Yeah.
Some big prize money on, because years ago there used to be a club championship. Many, many years ago. Queensland went to a few of them because they were the champions in Australia, and you go up and play against the clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an opportunity, but again, it's because there's so much rugby played and the calendars are set so much out, but why can't they do a sort of second tier, something where it's actually going to promote the game more, and you're going to get people, younger guy, or give opportunities more players?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the paper this weekend. I talked about the colour situation, the quota system in rugby. Did you see that in the paper?
I didn't see that one. No, I was reading about the Heineken Cup and some of them being quite interested in getting South African sides. Didn't see that one. Tell us a bit more.
They just sort of talked about if you don't really go to the right schools, you've got no chance of, if you're black and poor, you've got no chance of playing for the Springboks. So it sort of went on with the same old scenario about, still looking at Brian Abana and those guys about it shouldn't shouldn't be classified as like coloured
or transformation.
They should be, because they went to a private school. Basically, they should be treated like, not like you've got to have the quota system. And they had a couple of ex-players saying, this and that, but most of the players they actually spoke to were players who played 2 or 3 test matches and didn't really make it. So obviously there's a bit of bitterness and that there still.
Look, I mean, that's got to be goalpost moving, because I remember when people started talking about transfer. This hasn't just come around now, but back in the late 90s and even in the 90s, we were talking about making the game available to everyone in the country. That was exactly the point they were making, to give young black kids an opportunity to play at school level. So, if a young black kid goes through Michaelas or Cares, as Brian Abana did, or one of these schools, that's exactly what you wanted back then, and that's exactly what happened. And look how it worked. These guys made it way through the Springbok team. Now you want to move the goalposts.
Sorry, Darren.
Yeah, I'm finished.
The biggest problem I see is that, I've been sort of told by a couple of rugby experts, the biggest problem with the colours or the blacks playing is none of them want to have a rugby career, because their mothers and that are saying, sorry, you go and get a career, a job. They don't see rugby as a career, and that's why at schoolboy level there's a lot of the colours are playing, or the blacks are playing, but when they leave they're not, because the grandmother obviously saying, no, job, go and get a job, go and get a career, go and get a degree. That's one of the problems. But the other problem is, I find in South Africa, it's very strange, is if you're going to promote the game of rugby to everybody, it's got to be on free-to-air TV. The poor cannot go and buy DSTV. So how can they watch rugby? It's great to go to get a visiting team to go. We'll go to one of the townships and do a great promotion. But what is that doing? It's not really doing anything. I remember coming out in '92. We went to a black township and it was fantastic. We gave out all these sweets. The kids loved it. But what happened after that?
Yeah.
It's great to do it, but if you want to do it properly, you've got to give free-to-air TV.
You've got to sustain it.
Everybody. So all of a sudden, everybody's watching rugby. And therefore they say, I want to be like him. That's where you've got to start.
Yeah, but again, is that literally in our hands, or is that Mr. Murdoch saying this is how much it costs for you to watch the rugby that you want? So if you don't pay the price, you're not going to get the rugby.
Oh, well, definitely. But wasn't the first Test match this year against England free to air on SABC?
Well, a lot of them have been free to air. They just haven't been live, David. SABC for years have managed.
That's for South African rugby. It's not for me or you or Murdoch's. For South African Rugby Union to come to an agreement and actually, talk about promoting the game and doing it properly. If you're not going to promote the game and have all these people every couple of years come out and say, oh, it's not done properly, the guys who don't do that should be fined, we've got 3 or 4 colours in the team, it's not good enough. They're going to have the same problems, because it's actually the promotion of the game off the field that's more important than on the field, as you know.
Absolutely. Look, you can't blame Supersport, because that's their lifeblood.
Rugby I'm not blaming Supersport. I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying South African Rugby Union, if they want to do it properly, that's what they've got to do. Supersport are doing a great job, because they're the ones who've got all rugby. Even though I'm living here, I've never seen a channel that does so much rugby. It's bizarre. Every little bit of rugby anywhere in the world, you watch it, you can get it here. You're very fortunate. In Australia, we get nothing. We don't even get the Six Nations at home. So here, rugby is such a religion. So you go to the extreme by getting every single rugby game, but you're not actually making available to the young Johnny down the street who hasn't got a pay TV.
Yeah,
they're the ones you want to get.
Look, there was a solution if both companies and they wanted to do it for the bigger picture and to be able to get the game to and the best possible way. It might not be the way Supersport want it. 100%. That's the way. But the suggestion was made a long time ago: is take the test matches, let both channels show it live at the same time. Do your own presentation. And if Supersport are going to retain the rights for the market that can afford to and buy decoders and have got decoders. And we know that is basically your English and Afrikaans speaking market.
Yeah.
All right. So then you show the games and you retain the commentary rights in English Afrikaans, and then SABC can show the games live and they can have the commentary in Xhosa, Zulu, and every one of our other official languages if they want.
That's why this country's so unique. You've got so many different languages.
But there's an opportunity, and that's
I know,
been put
Darren,
forward
I
ages
agree with
ago.
you.
But, you can't really, once again, go and say, both sides have got to sit down and not clash heads. They've got to go, okay, well, this is the best in the interest of rugby in South Africa. That's what we've got to do. Someone's going to have to sacrifice on one side or the other side. At the moment, the best they've come to is showing the game straight after the final whistle on SABC, which is what they've been doing for the last few years. And the viewership there has been massive compared to SuperSport.
No, definitely. No, I agree. And so the other thing also in this article was actually said that, talking about the Kings. Now, out of 30 players that they've contracted, they've only got 6 colours. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, when I was here in 2006 and 7, there was all that kerfuffle about the Kings, and it's going to be coloured, look after all the locals and all that, Cheeky Watson and all that. Now they've only got 6 colours in the whole 30.
Yeah, well, they just played...
It's just another team. It's not a franchise.
They played a promotion relegation game where they didn't field one black player, and a lot of people were talking about that as well, going what happened to the promise of tapping into the rugby talent in that area. The argument was that the guys are not ready to play at this level yet.
Yeah, why weren't they brought to people's attention? That's the whole idea, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, well, look, you're running out of time, Dave. We're going to leave it there. It's always interesting chatting to you.
No problem.
And we will chat again next Monday when we have more of an idea, or we'll know the results of the first games in the end of year tour. Who did what?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting, hey? I think South Africa should win easily.
Yeah, we should.
You got Australia versus France.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing that one with SuperSport. That's going to be interesting.
Well, I don't know. After your comments about moving rugby to SABC, they might be giving you a call.
Oh, come on. I told you, I said, well, what's going to happen is if you want to get to the masses, that's what you have to. It's like Australia. We have problems in Australia because people complain about test matches not on free to air. And we've struggled because not everybody has got the money to pay for the DSTVs.
Absolutely.
And that's what you want to do. If you want the best, you've got to get obviously you've got to get the people to go out and watch the sport. But anyway, so I tipped this week South Africa. I tipped Australia to lose to France.
Really? Okay.
And the All Blacks are playing who? Italy.
Is it Italy or Scotland? It's Italy, eh?
It's Italy, yeah.
John's having a wild guess.
Hold on, is Italy? I'm sure it is.
Is he going to be
right now? Hold on.
Guys, where's your tips? What's the story?
Yeah, I'll get it to you right now.
Falling apart.
I know, it's all
yes,
gone.
I'll give it to you right now.
John had a wild guess at Italy. It's a new sport we play. See if Johnny's right or not. How many of his guesses are right?
Darren, hold on.
We haven't got all day. It's 6 o'clock's coming, Johnny.
Come up here.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
I think it is Italy.
News, fixtures. Here we go. 100%. Italy versus Tonga, England versus Fiji.
Italy versus Tonga. That's not
Scotland versus New Zealand.
Scotland, New Zealand. Thank you very much.
Next week.
Well, New Zealand, okay. New Zealand by 30.
Yeah, at least. And the second half, another 30.
Second, depends on the referee, huh?
And yeah. All right, David, have a good week. We'll chat to you next Monday. Cheers, man.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll give you a call. Bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. That's David Campese joining us in the Flush.
This is Balls Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Balls.co.za